हेलो बच्चों। क्लास 10th सीबीएसई बोर्ड पॉलिटिकल साइंस चैप्टर 3 डेमोक्रेसी एंड डाइवर्सिटी पार्ट 4. In last video it was origins of social differences and overlapping and cross-cutting differences. In this video we will do politics of social divisions. How these social divisions affect politics? How does politics do these social divisions? At first sight, it would appear that the combination of politics and social divisions is very dangerous and explosive. Democracy involves competition among various political parties. Their competition tends to divide any society. If they start competing in terms of some existing social divisions, it it can make social divisions into political divisions and lead to conflict, violence, or even disintegration of a country. This has happened in many countries. Range of outcomes. Take the case of Northern Ireland that we referred to above. This region of the United Kingdom has been for many years the site of a violent and bitter ethno political conflict. Its population is divided into two major sects of Christianity. 53% are Protestants, while 44% are Roman Catholics. The Catholics were represented by nationalist parties who demanded the Northern Ireland be unified with the Republic of Ireland, a predominantly Catholic country. The Protestants were represented by Unionists who wanted to remain with the UK, which is predominantly Protestant. Hundreds of civilians, militants, and security forces were killed in the fight between Unionists and Nationalists, and between the security forces of the UK and the Nationalists. It was only in 1998 that the UK government and the Nationalists reached a peace treaty after which the latter suspended their armed struggle. In Yugoslavia, the story did not have a happy end. Political competition along religious and ethnic lines led to disintegration of Yugoslavia into six independent countries. Such examples led some people to conclude that politics and social division must not be allowed to mix. They think that it would be best if there are no social division in any country. If social divisions do exist in a country, they must never be expressed in politics. At the same time, every expression of social divisions in politics does not lead to such disasters. We have already seen that social divisions of one kind or another exist in most countries of the world, wherever they exist. These divisions are reflected in politics. In a democracy, it is only natural that political parties would talk about these divisions, make different promises to different communities, look after due representation of various communities, and make policies to redress the grievance of the disadvantaged communities. Social divisions affect voting in most countries. People from one community tend to prefer some party more than others. In many countries, there are parties that focus only on one community. Yet, all this does not lead to disintegration of the country. Three determinants. Three factors are crucial in deciding the outcome of politics or social divisions. First of all, the outcome depends on how people perceive their identities. If people see their identities in singular and exclusive terms, it becomes very difficult to accommodate. As long as people in Northern Ireland saw themselves as only Catholic or Protestant, their differences were difficult to reconcile. It is much easier if the people see that their identities are multiple and are complementary with the national identity. A majority of Belgians now feel that they are as much Belgian as they are Dutch or German speaking. This helps them to stay together. This is how most people in our country see their identity. They think of themselves as Indian as well as belonging to a state or a language group or a social or religious community. Second, it depends on how political leaders raise the demands of any community. It is easier to accommodate demands that are within the constitutional framework and are not at the cost of another community. The demand for only Sinhala was at the cost of interest and identity of the Tamil community in Sri Lanka. In Yugoslavia, the leaders of different ethnic communities presented their demands in such a way that these could not be accommodated within a single country. Third, it depends on how the government reacts to demands of different groups. As we saw in the examples of Belgium and Sri Lanka, if the rulers are willing to share power and accommodate the reasonable demands of minority community, social divisions become less threatening for the country. But if they try to suppress such a demand in the name of national unity, the end result is often quite the opposite. Such attempts at forced integration often sow the seeds of disintegration. Thus, the assertion of social diversities in a country need not be seen as a source of danger. In a democracy, political expression of social divisions is very normal and can be healthy. This allows various disadvantaged and marginal social groups to express their grievance and get the government to attend to these. Expression of various kinds of social divisions in politics often results in their cancelling one another out and thus reducing their intensity. This leads to the straightening of a democracy. But a positive attitude toward diversity and a willingness to accommodate it do not come about easily. People who feel marginalized, deprived and discriminated have to fight against the injustices. Such a fight often takes the democratic path, voicing their demands in a peaceful and constitutional manner and seeking a fair position through elections. Sometimes social differences can take the form of unacceptable level of social inequality and injustice. The struggle against such inequalities sometimes takes the path of violence and defiance of state power. However, history shows that democracy is the best way to fight for recognition and also to accommodate diversity. So, this is chapter 3, Democracy and Diversity of Political Science, CBSE Board, class 10th. There is a story also, Bulgaria, Romania, and India. Let's read that also. Ganesh had come back from his trip and was talking to Mahashweta about the Roma people who live in many countries of Eastern Europe. He met Yordanka, who works as a nurse in Bulgaria. This is what she has to say about Roma people. Being a nurse, you can't refuse to look after some people. But these Roma people are very dirty. Even when something small happens to anyone in their family, all the family, even the neighbors, just march to our hospital. And once they are in the hospital, they don't know how to keep quiet. That they talk aloud, smoke and drop ashes all over and spit on the wall. They have no patience and they just start pestering our doctors. And when they are just hanging out like that anyway, they look so aggressive. After all, these dark skinned people don't look like us. They have a strange sense of color. Look at their dress. Why can't they try to look like everyone else in the country? And we all know that they are thieves. I have heard people say that these Roma people live by selling their blood. None of them can afford the hospital fees. But when they are ill, they just rush to hospital at the cost of good Bulgarians who pay their taxes. That sounds familiar, said Mahashweta. Ganesh on to talk about Modruzani, a Romani who lives in Romania. When she was 18 years old, she went to the hospital to give birth to her first child. She had no money to pay to the doctor or nurse. Though she was in the hospital, nobody bothered to come and take care of her. Finally, the sweeper, who was also a Romani, helped her give birth to a boy. And then the nurse appeared on the scene and said, "Here we have another criminal." Talking about how the Roma people are treated in public hospitals. She says, "These doctors keep us waiting outside their cabins." On one occasion, one doctor asked me to take a bath if I needed to be examined. Of course, I smelled. During the pregnancy, I ate from a garbage containers because I was so hungry all the time. My husband had left me. I had two children and I was pregnant with the third. The social worker refused my request for food assistance. My neighbor helped me to deliver the baby. I often feel it is better not to visit these hospitals. Mahashweta heard him out and said, "Ganesh, why do you have to travel halfway across the world to find this out? This is not a story about Romania and Bulgaria or about the Roma people. This is as much a story about our own country and about our people who are branded as criminals by our system." So it's a normal story. There is nothing to be explained or mentioned. Okay, so this is chapter 3, political science. Uh, Political science, class 10, CBSE book. Okay, chapter 3, reading complete. From this video, your homework is three determinants. What are three determinants of democracy and diversity? And range of outcomes of politics of social divisions. Okay, and please write. Writing is the right thing right now. Okay, bye. Thank you.